Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be interviewing a legend amongst legends. I am just so excited to have this woman on, Susan Silo. She has a record of many eclectic jobs in show business. She was a singer when she was a teenager in the late 50s. She sang a song called Dear Diary, which her voice was so lovely and velvet on that song. And she was on every black and white TV series you could think of, from Dobie, the many loves of Dobie Gillis, to Wagon Train, to Alfred Hitchcock Presents, to Batman, which is what she's known for. She plays Mousy in connection to the Riddler. And she's been a voiceover for many cartoons, ranging from Saturday Morning of Pac-Man, Kid Video, to the Jetsons movie, to Bebe's Kids, to Biker Mice from Mars, which is her favorite voiceover gig from what I've read. And I can't wait to have her on today. It's going to be amazing. Like I said, she is a legend. So, here is my interview with Susan Silo. Hey, Susan.
Hi there, Tommy.
Welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, as best as can be expected in this challenging time.
Yeah. It's a straight...
It's bizarre. It's surreal. It's really like I said to someone, I wasn't cast in this movie. I don't remember auditioning for this. I don't want to be in this movie.
Yeah. It's a bizarre time, but I think we're going to pull through eventually. Everything's going to be good.
I know we will. We're resilient as Americans. We're resilient as a race. We're tough. We'll find new ways. It's going to be an alternate universe. It's going to be different. There's going to be a lot of changes, but hopefully we've learned something from this mess.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. This is such a wonderful honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I'm always so grateful for, people who are interested in what we do, because all of us, I know, the people that are involved, in our section of the world, our show business, our beloved show business, really love what they do, and love the appreciation when we do good work and people say, yeah, we love you guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. So going back in time, your father was John Silo, a character actor.
Yes.
Did he instill in you a love for performing and acting early in your childhood before the success came?
Oh, well, I worked with my father. I always said I was born in a trunk. It's a family business. My mother was an actress, and my father, of course, an actor and a teacher, many things. He was also a marvelous singer. He was a gorgeous tenor. And I grew up in a musical family, in an acting and musical family. My grandfather was a poet. Just all the arts. And so, I started at 4 with my dad on stage when he was a humorist. And he had an act with my mother, who was a monologist. I don't know if you've heard of Ruth Draper. This goes back in time,
Yeah.
But, people who did monologues. It was usually women, and my father wrote monologues for her. She was terrific. And then, at the age of 4, they got me on the stage with them, and I never left.
Wow, so started at age 4. That's pretty amazing. That's like Sammy Davis Jr. I think he started at age 4.
Yes, he did too, because he was the family business too. As a matter of fact, I was with Sammy when I recorded Mr. Wonderful. I don't know if you remember that he did that.
Yep.
I believe that was the same name of the show. And I was 12 at the time, and I loved being with Sammy because I was a little girl and he was short, and it really felt good. You know, he was like a grown-up, but I could really relate to him because he was short.
Yeah. Oh, there was no one like Sammy, man. Wow.
Oh, he was terrific talent, a lovely guy, and so the family business is definitely how it started for me as a singer, really, basically, and then I was a pianist. I was in the Musicians Guild from 6 to 16,
mm-hmm.
and played classical piano, and just went on. I was with my parents. I performed in the Catskills, the Borsfeld,
mm-hmm.
With my parents, and I was part of their act until at 8 I became a single, as they say, and I performed at Grossinger's. Jenny Grossinger just loved me. I had one song that I would sing for her, and she would come from her cottage just to see me perform. Those were quite incredible days when all, the upcoming comics and people like Jerry Lewis and Buddy Hackett, we're all doing the circuit. We're doing the,
mm-hmm.
The Catskill Mountain circuit.
Mm-hmm. I've been on YouTube listening to your songs Dear Diary and Don't Ever Cheat. I can't believe...
Dick Clark's Bandstand, I was certainly on that. And, it was a huge hit, Dear Diary. I was, at that time, I believe I was 14 or 15. Yeah, and I did all the record hops, across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I did New Year's Eve in Kansas City for 10,000 teenagers.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, I can't believe how your voice hasn't changed. The only other actor in voiceover that I can think of who's had the same voice since childhood is Pamela Ferdin.
Who, dear?
Pamela Ferdin.
I do. What?
She did. I know. She did Charlie Brown, Charlotte's Web, all the late 60s, early 70s cartoons. Yeah, she sounds exactly the same.
Well, it's wonderful. I think part of it is, for me, maybe being a singer, how to use your pipes and keep your pipes in good shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a skill, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, and it's work. It's just like being a dancer, which, I was too, because I was in the original West Side Story. And, you have to keep the body limber as well as the voice. It's all, muscle.
Well, I didn't even realize you were in the original West Side Story. Who did you play?
I was Rosalia, the one that sang Puerto Rico, you love the island.
Oh.
That was me.
Wow, did anybody in that end up in the movie?
No. Well, some of the guys, from the Jets, I believe, did. I was up for Maria. Yeah, Robert Wise. I did a screen test for it, and I was very close to getting it because I could sing the songs I covered for Maria. And guess what? They needed a name. There were no names in the cast at all. And so, Natalie said yes, and the student didn't get it. And I saw Mr. Wise at a party years later, and I said, "Oh, Mr. Wise, I would have so loved to have done the role." And he said, "Yes, Susan, but look what happened to Natalie. So, be grateful."
Yeah.
Be grateful. And, it was a very exciting show to do. And as a little baby teenager, I was doing it to be on Broadway in this magnificent show and talk about fans just flocking to the stage door just to tell us how much they love the show. And it's timeless, obviously, because, that Spielberg is doing a remake. There's a remake of the remake.
I just heard that. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? Yeah, I just hope, it gets finished in time, during this crazy time that we're in.
Oh, this is This is so awful for us. I'm going to let that go. Hang on just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to get away from the phone. They can leave a message. They obviously do not know that we're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. Can you hear me okay now, Tommy?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Anyway, yeah, I'm doing Curious George. I've been doing Curious George for years now.
Mm-hmm.
I play Nettie Fischetti on that and other characters, but that's my main lead role, Chef Fischetti's wife. And Jim Cummings, who plays Chef Fischetti, he's fabulous. So many good voices in it. We're on hold, and they gave us now a new schedule that says, well, we think like May 1st, you'll be able to come back. I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure, and I don't know. I have a husband who's high risk here, and I don't know if it's a good idea to, compromise myself even at that seemingly later date, because this thing is just very, very vicious, and spreads so easily and so fast.
Mm-hmm. I'm very lucky. Most of my guests, are, at senior age, and I'm just so glad that it hasn't hit any of them. I'm so grateful.
Oh, I am too. Yeah, I am too, because it's just scary. It really, really is. And when we love to do what we do because we're, bringing joy to people, and we're stopped. We can't do that. And so, I hope we can get it up again and get rolling and start, bringing more joy, as they say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've become such good friends with them too. It would be a very devastating blow to me. But which came first, the Jack Benny show or the Jerry Lewis show for you?
Oh, well, the Jerry Lewis, I was really a baby. I was Jerry's protege for a while. The Jerry Lewis show came first, and then the Jack Benny show when I moved out to California. I was still living in New York when I did the Jerry Lewis special. We flew out, especially my parents and myself and my manager, and that was just, a temporary trip to do the show, and then came back to New York. I was still at the High School of Performing Arts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Jerry Lewis.
Carol O'Connor was my English teacher.
Really?
Really?
Archie Bunker?
Oh, gosh, he was some teacher. Oh, well. He stayed in my life a long time. He was kind of a surrogate dad to me, too. He was at my wedding, and, we were very, very close. And I got into Theater West because he sponsored me in. He wanted me in with Jack Nicholson, for God's sakes, and Bobby Blake, and
wow,
oh my God, and Marty Landau. What a great group of actors!
Certainly is. Yeah. Jerry was a hero of mine growing up. I saw every movie he did, and I was so devastated when he passed.
Yeah, well, Jerry was a very complicated man. He was almost like a dad to me, too. I have some wonderful pictures with him when I was doing the special. And one of his little boys, that's how long ago, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerry and I were really close. He followed my career for a long time. He came, as a matter of fact, he came to New York to see me in West Side Story, and then took the whole cast out to dinner with me. It was really incredible.
Wow. Oh, that's sweet, though.
Yeah.
So when you were on the Jack Benny show, how was that experience?
Oh, God. Mr. Benny. I adored him. I had a dressing room next door to him. And one day he said to me during rehearsal, "What are you doing, Susan?" I said, "Well, I'm just kind of studying my lines and, just kind of hanging out." And he said, "Would you like to hear me play?" Can you imagine Jack Benny asking you, "Would you like to hear me play?" I was, "Of course, Mr. Benny. I would love that. Please call me Jack." Okay. And I went to his dressing room and he played for me. And it was just one of the most precious moments in my life.
Yeah.
Very sweet man. Very sweet man. Very, such a gentle man. Such a gentle man.
Yeah, they don't make him like him anymore. No. He was just a true original, with that violin, and he was always cheap.
And everybody in the show, all the people, Dennis Day, all of them, lovely, lovely people. That was a time gone by, Tommy. A different kind of generational thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to hope that because we remember it, that we can continue that kind of wonderful way of respecting each other. So important.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with you. Yes. So you did so many guest starring roles on TV and movies.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That I want to ask you about. I remember when you were on The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis, when Dobie goes beatnik.
Yeah, right. Oh, it was so great. It was really, what a cute show that was. They were also very dear people. I worked with his brother, too, on The Americans.
Mm-hmm.
That was another show with Dick Davlos and his brother.
Yeah.
It was an adorable show. We had such a good time. We were such of that era, that teenager, that we were just the typical teenager. There is no typical teenager anymore.
Yeah.
But that's what we were. We were just like little cutout dolls.
Yeah, well, all the teenagers are difficult now.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is. It's just a whole different thing. But, every era looks upon change the same way. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's the good old days type of thing. How often have you heard your parents say that and you go, I'm never going to say that. Are you kidding? I'm not going to. And then you go, oh, the good old days. I think I'm sounding like my mom.
Yeah. Bob Denver must have had everybody cracking up on that set.
Yeah, we every set that I've worked on, I've really, really enjoyed. I love doing Bonanza. Michael Landon is one of my favorites. I miss him so much. One of my favorite people. I was matron of honor at Susan McRae's, who was the casting and married one of the producers of the show, Kent McRae. I was matron of honor for their wedding, and he was the best man.
Mm-hmm.
And he was directing while we're doing the wedding. He's directing. It was hysterical.
Yeah.
It was like, somebody was tripping on the carpet. It was at the Bel Air Hotel, and somebody was tripping, and he says, now, Susan, you be careful not to trip on the carpet. I said, Michael, now that you're telling me not to trip on the carpet, I'm probably going to trip on the carpet. And I tripped on the carpet.
Oh, my God. Did you hurt yourself bad?
No. It was a little trip, but just enough to have him giggle.
Oh.
Just enough. He was so mischievous. And what a big heart he had. He treated his people beautifully. He really, really did. When I did Highway to Heaven, that was, of course, years later in Tucson, in old town Tucson. But when I did Bonanza, and Hoss, what a dear heart he was. Very, gentle giant. Mm-hmm. Wonderful guy. So many wonderful actors who were talented, but as people, they were just very generous of spirit.
Mm-hmm. You did Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
With Alf Shalene. I had such a crush on him.
And Jeanette Nolan.
Huh?
And Jeanette Nolan.
Oh, I loved her. Jeanette and her husband. I did Wagon Train with her husband.
John McIntyre.
Yes, John. Oh, my God, what a lovely couple. Jeanette was like a mommy. She was tremendous. And that was, that Hitchcock was a very groundbreaking show. I did a couple of shows that were like that, that I turn out, spoiler alert here, but that I turn out to be, I roll my own father who got out of prison.
Yeah.
I turn out to be his. I mean, for those days, that was, that was pretty advanced.
Yeah. It sure was, especially in that innocent time. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It was like, oh my gosh. It was I loved it. I thought it was a terrific show.
I just interviewed James Drury, and I forgot to ask him about Jeanette Nolan too, because I thought she was brilliant.
Oh, absolutely brilliant actress, and John McIntyre too. And together as a couple, they were gorgeous. What a gorgeous couple.
And their son Tim McIntyre played
lovely
Alan Freed in American Hot Wax, and then unfortunately he passed away very young.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I hate when we lose somebody. It's like family. We actors are, one big family. We really are.
Yeah.
We're all connected in some way.
Yeah. Then you did a movie called Love in the Goldfish Bowl.
That was so long ago. I try and think about that experience. I enjoyed it very much. I know it was, again, a typical teenagey thing,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have any real, strong recollections. Except I was so grateful that I was doing a feature film instead of doing just television.
With Fabian and Tommy Sands.
Yeah, and he was a delight. Too bad his career kind of went south because he was a very nice guy and very talented.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a sad risk. Now I remember that part. And Nancy, wasn't it Nancy Sinatra? And
yeah, she was. Yeah, he was married to Nancy Sinatra.
Right. I was a little younger then. You know what I'm saying? So that was like grown-up stuff.
Yeah.
But I knew that she adored him, and wasn't he kind of like exiled in Hawaii or something weird like that?
Something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah. God just bring it. You're good, Tommy. You're good. You do your homework, man.
Oh, well, let me tell you, speaking of Tommy Sands, he's the first guy who educated David Carradine on the term Kung Fu before the series Kung Fu started.
Really?
I know that, yes. He said in an interview many years ago, and I was like, oh, I thought that was pretty interesting,
Wow. No, I didn't know. That's kind of a trivia thing. But it's wonderful. I always say when I'm doing a seminar or something, or I'm at a Comic-Con, and we have, Q&A, and people ask me, certain questions and everything, and I'm going, and they'll say, well, you did this role and this thing, and I went, I was in that? How was I? Was I good? It's like they know more about me than I do.
Yeah. And then you did Convicts 4.
Oh, yeah, with Ben Gazzara. Yeah.
Oh, lots of great actors. Rod Steiger, Stuart Whitman, who just passed.
Oh, yeah.
Sammy. Vincent Price, I've interviewed his daughter. Ray Walston. My God, that's an amazing cast.
Oh, absolutely. John Falco was the real person. That was the original name of the movie was Reprieve, by the way,
mm-hmm.
and it was about the retrieval. He was sentenced to death and was reprieved, I think, 3 times. 3 times until they commuted it, and I went to Folsom Prison to shoot it, and that was an eye opener. Having never been. Inside a prison. Of course, I could not go in the lockup. They wouldn't allow that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank heavens I didn't want to go there. But I was out there with the trustees and the warden, and that's a very, very strange experience with him. He talked to me a lot. He was a very interesting man and a painter because it was a true story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pre-Johnny Cash.
Yeah, right. Exactly, Tommy. Interesting, yeah.
You did a couple.
Millard Kaufman, I believe, was the director on that one. My God, these names are coming up. You must be really very good, or you're intuiting a lot of things into me because I'm remembering names I haven't said in years.
No, it's only going to get better.
Yay!
Yeah. You did a couple episodes of Wagon Train.
Oh yeah, with Bobby Blake.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Bobby. He was a mischievous guy. He was a lot of fun. He was also in Theater West with me. You know, as I said, we actors, we kind of hung out, you know, together in the same thing. Even though I was really, really young,
Mm-hmm.
You know, age didn't seem to matter with actors. They took, you know, if they were older, they kind of took you under their wing type of thing. I was close to Harry Dean Stanton.
Oh.
We did Shadow of a Gunman.
Nice.
I remember doing that with him, with the Irish accent, you know. And we did, and they loved us. I was so grateful that they loved us. And Barbara Bain and Lee Merriweather and I did something that was written by one of the actors, and it was about three hookers.
Mm-hmm. The three hookers. Did that?
Barbara Bain, can you imagine? Lee Merriweather, Barbara Bain, these two gorgeous, tall women, and little me.
Yeah.
And I was the baby doll, little hooker.
Did that make you uncomfortable?
Yeah, a little bit. And I had to pretend I had to smoke pot in it, but of course I was pretending. And I remember Dean Stanton teaching me how to smoke pot.
Really?
Oh, that's just so, it was hysterical. And so every time we see each other, I still see Lee Merriweather because I've been on backbenchings with her, you know, from our Batman days. And so she would say to me, "Hey, have you done any hooking lately?" Oh, and Barbara Bain, yeah, they were great. But
why are we remembered by our mistakes?
I know, it's so true. I thought to myself, well, this always happened as a mom, because I am a mom,
Mm-hmm.
and I have two wonderful boys, and when we'd go on a trip or something, we'd come back and we'd tell everybody about the trip. All they would remember were the horrible things.
Yeah.
We would never remember when I broke my arm and you wait a minute. What about the hotel and the swimming and the horseback riding and everything? Yeah, but you know, when I broke my arm, you know, that's all they remember.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Difficult.
And of course, many of us nerds remember you as Mousy on Batman.
Oh yeah, that was. We had no idea what a hit we would be, you know, as far as and stay forever as kind of a what do you call it? A rage.
A phenomenon.
Good word.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that it would be, talk about timeless and even getting bigger than it was. It's just incredible. I had no idea. Oh, I'll tell you a funny story. Frank Gorshin and I were really close.
Mm-hmm.
We also did Empire. That was a show with
Mm-hmm.
Terry Moore.
Oh, Terry Moore, yeah.
Terry Moore, Richard Egan, Ryan O'Neal, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that was Empire. I played Frankie's little wife, little southern, little country bumpkin wife.
Mm-hmm.
He was a firefighter for the oil field. He played, that was his role. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
that was after Batman. But Frankie and I became close friends, and we had mutual friends and whatever, even though he was older. As I said, age didn't matter in our industry that much, and he was just a doll, and he'd always ask me, you know, was I good in that shot? How was that shot? Was that he always wanted an opinion about it, but I was doing a show with Mark Evanier, you know, Garfield.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark Evanier, the wonderful writer-director and producer, I think, sometimes. And I was doing a show with him, and he was taking me out to lunch. And I'll never forget, we were at Cantor's, and that's a to sit down here because I have to show you something. What? He said, well, the sad news is that Frank Gorshin died. And I went, oh my God.
Oh.
I knew he was smoking himself to death. He was a terrible smoker. It was awful. And I told him many times when I saw him at Michael's in New York, his last days, really. And I said, oh, Frankie, I said, you're smoking up on stage. I said, you never stop smoking. Those when you could still smoke in public places, you know. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, what are you going to do? That's just my life. That's what I do. Okay, fine. I'm not going to argue with you anymore. And all of his friends tried. Anyway, so Frankie died. And so Mark is telling me this. And I went, oh, I'm sick. I said, you know, because I was real close to him. And he said, well, I have to tell you something else and show you something else. He said, it's really something. Well, what happened was, for his obituary, all over the world, in every publication, every paper, every news flash, they showed the picture of Frankie and myself, okay? I am in the foreground. He's in back of me. Mm-hmm. Well, when you first look at the picture, you think, I died. So I looked at it, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so flattered that they took the picture, but it's kind of weird that, you know, I'm in the front. Well, I was getting calls, are you okay?
Oh, man.
Not even looking at the caption and just looking at the picture and going, oh my God, that's Susan Silo. And the name is right there. You know, my mother was stunned. I mean, it was like wildfire. It's a wild picture. You ought to look it up somewhere.
I will.
Really? Oh my God. But yeah, so Mark said, you're not gonna believe this, but and then one of my actor friends said, you know, that's a great picture of you. Then you ought to use it for your obit. I was like, thank you very much. I was thinking ahead, planning ahead. Oh my God.
Yeah. Did you hear Burt Ward got his star on the Walk of Fame?
Yes. Isn't that great?
Yeah. It's funny because next month they were supposed to have the Hollywood show, which has been canceled because of this quarantine. They were going to have the guy who's the runner-up to play Robin there. He was on Mr. Novak back in the early 60s.
Oh, I think Mr. Novak.
Yeah, Peter Devlin, whatever his name is.
His name sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. They were going to have him.
Speaking of innovative, and before the time when I did Mr. Novak, it was the story of a teacher and a young girl student.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty groundbreaking too, because it was very, very touchy subject. Still, I mean, it still is, but it was never really shown.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know about it until the internet. It was never syndicated in my lifetime.
Yeah, right, exactly. But wow, you know, that was. And I did it with Frankie Sinatra Jr.
Oh, really? I didn't know he acted.
Oh, sure. Oh, and it was so funny. I'll tell you a cute story about that one with Frankie.
Mm-hmm.
Other Frankie in my life. So we get on the set, you know, to start the first day's shoot, and Frankie comes over to me and he says, "I'd like to introduce myself. I'm, you know, Frank Sinatra." And he was playing my boyfriend in the show because we were closer in age, you know, but not like the teacher who was after me, who was not appropriately my age. Mm-hmm. Wonderful, gorgeous, handsome actor. I forget his name. Might come to me. But anyway, so Frankie introduces himself, and I said, yes, and I'm Susan Sally. He says, oh, I know who you are. And I'm thinking, oh, he knows my acting. He thinks I'm a great actor. He says, oh, I just love Dear Diary. Diary. Here I am, an actress, older.
Yeah.
My 13-year-old Dear Diary.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I went, Dear Diary. I said, my God, that was years ago. I went, oh,
Yeah, it's a great song.
But at that age, at that tender age, I was, thinking I'm an actress now. I'm not a rock and roller. I'm an actress.
Yeah.
So in his compliment, I'm like saying, "Oh my God, he's insulting me. He's remembering me as a little rock and roller."
Do you have any good stories about being on the Love Boat? I love that episode you were on.
Oh, that was so great. Barbie Benton and I, we became pals. I was at her wedding. I got a lot of weddings.
Yeah.
But I make friends, in the industry when I work. It's really quite lovely. We had a terrific time on that show. That was also Richard Kynan was the director who directed me in the series Harry's Girl.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that I did in Europe for NBC and Colgate. That was quite a trip. But Love Boat, was just the way it seemed. It was a very happy cast, very lovely to work with the people that were the regulars on it. They were very welcoming and very, fun. We had a lot of fun. That was a good show to do. It really was. And a lot of people, still are big fans of that show.
Yeah. That was a good episode. My friend Carol White was in that episode.
Oh, really? Oh, and guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Just saw I was having my manicure. I miss having a manicure. I can't have one now. So I was at the manicurist, and I'm sitting there, and there's a gentleman sitting in her chair.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a few weeks ago. I can't believe it's just a few weeks ago on how the world has changed since then. Anyway, a few weeks ago, and I'm looking at this gentleman in the chair, and I'm going, and it was just his back. And I went, looks familiar to me. Somehow, turns around, it's Jamie Farr.
Really?
I went, Jamie, he went, who's this? He said, what are you doing? I said, what are you doing here? You're with my manicurist. You don't like my manicurist. You've been coming here to Linda, and I didn't even know it. And we bumped into each other at different times because he's a neighbor of mine, too.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen him in a long time. And I said, are you still, living in Bell Canyon? Oh, yeah, we're still up there. And his wife, Joey, came around, and we said hi. But Jamie was just a trip to work with on that show. Oh, we had so many laughs because I was pretending with Barbie that we were French girls, and of course we were not.
Yeah.
But I could speak French, and I was teaching Barbie how to pronounce things. I was giving her French lessons, trying to get her to, pronounce things the right way. And I probably was the only one ever that spoke on Love Boat. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
But when we're on the lounges, on the lounge deck and everything, I'm lying there in my swimsuit, and I'm holding a cigarette, and I say to him in French, "Avez-vous du feu?" which means you have a light. And, of course, he lights up, and I thought, there I am, the only person in the world who ever spoke on Love Boat.
Oh, man. So did you transition into voiceover because acting roles became sparse?
Well, I'd like not to think of it that way, but the kind of thing that really segued for me was that I was starting to do, before a lot of actors were willing, actually, to do commercials, on-camera commercials.
Yeah.
And someone said to me, they do close-ups of you with the product, and they do master shots with the product, etc. But sometimes they would do voiceover of you speaking, the same actor they just saw on the screen, but speaking, holding the product, or doing something with the product. And someone said, you have such a great voice and everything. Have you ever thought of doing voiceover? I didn't even think of voiceover. I didn't even know there was such a field, really, because I'd always been on stage or on camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, you ought to look into it. Talk to your agent. Well, I did, and as they say, that's all they wrote, man. It just took off. I started with commercials, great, wonderful commercials, voiceover commercials, as I was doing the on-camera, and then it segued into just putting me out there, and it was first Hanna-Barbera with the Smurfs, going out there and auditioning for animation, and that was a whole new wonderful world that opened up for me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you got into it at the right time, because at that time, all the animation studios saw how big the children's toys were selling, so they bought every property that they could get their hands on.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, they did, and we were running from. I could do 4 or 5 shows a day, where you cannot do that on camera.
Yeah, it's just not possible.
I was running from show to show with, at that point, playing on the tape deck the next character that I was supposed to do, so I would get on with the voice. So I was carrying around all that. Me and Nancy Cartwright. It was hysterical.
Nancy Cartwright, yeah.
Yeah, she worked her first job with me on what they called the Glow Friends, and Charlie Adler. Charlie Adler first came from New York to the Glow Friends, and Nancy. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, you did so many. Pac-Man with Frank Welker was in that too.
Oh, Frankie, well, now there is, I want to tell you something. That is such a talent. And you want to hear a silly story about Frank Welker.
Oh, go ahead.
He had already been established, in the voiceover field, and animation, etc.
Right.
And we were at Hanna-Barbera, and I was doing a show, an early show, Hey, It's the King, or one of the early shows that I did after the Smurfs. I think the Smurfs might have been the first. I'm not sure, but so I'm watching him work and listening to him work, and I'm like. And afterwards, I said to him, you're really, really very talented. I think you're going to have a big career. And that's Mr. Frank Welker, excuse me. And he was just so gracious. He goes, thank you. I so appreciate your comments. And, he and I are still working together on Curious George. And he's just the same. He is exactly the same. He is humble. He is exceedingly talented and so generous to all the other people. He's always complimenting every other actor that, works with him. Just really, just a great guy.
Yeah, I remember that creepy voice he does for Dr. Claude, Inspector Gadget, and Soundwave on Transformers. It's amazing how he can do that.
Oh, he can do a chorus of ducks singing a Christmas carol.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sick. I mean, it's really sick.
Did you do a voice for Star Chaser: The Legend of Orin?
I think I did. I'd have to look in my resume.
Because it says it here on IMDb, but it doesn't say what the character's name was.
Sometimes they don't. Oh, let me get away from this noise. Hang on a second. Better? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. As I said, sometimes because it's voiceover and I'm not in costume and makeup,
yeah,
I can't remember. I look at things and I just go, I don't remember that. And Michael Bell, I'm sure you know who Michael Bell is.
Yes.
Also huge in the voiceover industry and a dear, dear friend. He will send me clips of something. Listen to us. This is you and me and whatever. I'm going, I don't even remember doing that. Where was I?
Yeah, that's pretty common. I've heard a lot of people say stuff like that because they don't, pay attention to their own work after they do it,
That's true. There's a very good point. That's true. We don't dwell on it. Also, they're so numerous. At you're very in tune and you hold on to that character and you live that character. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's the best acting work you could ever do. Because the character comes first and the voice follows. It's not, we're not voicing, we're acting.
Yeah. I remember when you were She Lion on Kid Video.
Oh, yeah, that was a cutesy show. Wasn't that a cute show?
They need to bring it back because it was a pretty original idea.
It really was, and I'm surprised. I think Mark Evanier was the director on that one. Mm-hmm. I remember the creator. He had a place in Malibu we used to go to, and I thought it was very innovative. It kind of, had that stream of consciousness feeling. That really was. Who knows? I don't know where the creators are and who can get the rights to have it brought back, but I'm in a campaign for that.
Yeah, definitely will. Then there was Inhumanoids, which was kind of a Transformers type of show.
Yeah, that was fun. I played the robot and what's her face? I had the lead gal. That was with Micelle. Micelle was in that one.
And Richard Sanders from WKRP was on that show.
Was he? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Well, sometimes we work with people, sometimes we don't. Sandra. Oh, what's her name? Sandra York. Sandra. She's upstairs in my Hall of Fame places. But yes, I remember her very well. I liked her. She was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I loved seeing the drawings. And those days, we'd get the drawings. Little did we know, we'd get the drawings, the cell. They'd give it to us at all the places we went. And then they found out how valuable they were, and we weren't given any cells anymore. And those of us who didn't keep it were stupid.
Yeah. I remember when you were Gertrude in Jetsons the movie.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Gertrude. Oh, she was fun. That was a wonderful cast. Now, that was a bunch of, geriatric people doing the old shows who could still do it, who still have the voices to do it.
Yeah, I remember your line, "He is expendable."
Good for you. Good for you. I could use that in my life sometime.
Yeah. My mom took me to see this when I was 7 years old, and I don't think the '90s audiences was ready for a Jetsons movie. But it is a great movie, though, and Tiffany was great as Judy. I'm hopefully going to interview her this year.
Wonderful. That'll be fun.
Yeah. And then I remember James Bond Jr. I used to watch that before school when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. That was a great cast. Who did it? Was Stu Rosen or was it Stu Blue that directed that? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, we had a great cast, and we did a lot of multiple roles on that, too. That was a lot of fun. And Julian Holloway, I think that's where I met Jules. Julian Holloway, I think, was in that one. The son of Stanley Holloway, who was
yes.
My Fair Lady, Get Me to the Church on Time. We became very close friends. And, that was a very, very good show. We worked very hard on that show and did multiple roles on that. Jan Rapson and Corey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was that. Yeah, great show.
Oh, here's a favorite of mine, Bebe's Kids.
Oh, Bebe's Kids. That was a while ago. Wow.
I just remember, you're playing that ticket lady, and you're reading the rules of the park, and the one that always made me laugh out loud was, no breaking things and then putting them back like nothing happened.
Why? Excuse me, Tommy, did that hit close to home?
I can't remember if I ever did that, but I used to see that all the time.
Oh, my God, yes. Ticket lady. Oh, yes.
And then the very last line, no littering.
Yeah. I want to see that happen. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, that's a great cartoon. I haven't seen it in a long time. I need to watch it again. I used to watch Darkwing Duck before it got canceled.
Oh yeah, we did a lot of good things on Darkwing Duck. A lot of interesting. Wasn't it Jungle Janet was in Darkwing Duck? And
I believe so. Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to think. I did a couple of lead characters. Jungle Janet was one,
Neptunia.
and then there was another one.
Neptunia.
Oh yeah, right, Neptunia.
Yeah.
Yeah, people love Neptunia. Yeah, yeah, they love that. It was really that was directed by a wonderful woman who is a really close friend, Ginny McSwain. She is a terrific voiceover director, and she was an actress. She was in Hey, It's the King and Hanna-Barbera before she turned to directing under the wing of Gordon Hunt, who was a fabulous director, and animated director, and other shows too, and theater as well. And he was a dear man to work with. Ginny McSwain is still active. We did Rocketeer together just recently. We've done a lot of work together, and she's highly respected and highly loved.
hmm Yeah, I used to do stand-up comedy, and I had a bit about Darkwing Duck where I talked about, he looked like a street pimp with that hat that he wore, and I was saying like, I'd like to be Darkwing Tom. I'd be like, I'd be dressed like a pimp, and I'd be going around saving hoes and all this stuff. It was pretty funny.
Oh, I'm sure they would have loved to take off on that one.
Yeah.
And now kids for the dark version of Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, you remember the theme song where he says, "Let's get dangerous." I said, "Let's get naked." Yeah.
Listen, you can still grab them, excuse the expression, with that today.
Oh yeah.
It'll still play, kiddo.
Yeah. I was reading your favorite role was Dr. Carbuncle on Biker Mice from Mars.
Oh yeah.
Why is that your favorite role?
Well, because what happened was I crossed the line. I became a guy, and it was hysterical because the character was so bizarre. And Tommy T, who is one of the producers and creators, said you came with that character, and we heard that point, and we went, that is not coming out of that woman. But he said, that's the voice I heard in my head for this character. He said there was no one that could beat you out. None of the guys could do this. And so it was very funny. After that, when we were still coming in for auditions, in person, there'd be a room full of guys, and then I'd walk in and they'd go, Sila's here. She'll probably get it. And Brad Garrett, oh my God, Brad Garrett, what a hoot he is. We became friends after that show too, and he was just a doll. Talk about a gentle giant and a funny man, very very funny man. He has a great place in Las Vegas, and everybody should go.
His comedy club, yeah.
He's just terrific, and Julian Holloway was in that one too. And Robbie Paulson, of course, the inimitable Robbie Paulson, fabulous. I love Biker Mice from Mars. We really had a good time and worked very hard. And Stu Rosen was the director on that, and he since has passed. He just passed away a few months ago.
Oh, that's sad.
It was, and it was just insane. I mean, we were wild and woolly, and Ian Ziering was one of the Biker Mice. Robbie Paulson, Ian Ziering.
Mm-hmm.
Now we had some people from 90210 come on because of Ian at that time. We had Jason Priestley and and we had Tori. Tori was your little girl, Tori Spelling.
Tori Spelling, yeah.
We really had a ball on that show. The characters were fantastic. The writing was great. And well loved, very well received.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about writing a memoir?
Oh, God, you and my husband. Tommy, have you been talking to Mike? You've been talking to him. I know you have.
No, I mean, you got great stories. I mean, you should document them.
I know. It's just that I love talking, and you couldn't tell that, right?
Yeah.
I just love verbalizing, and I think the only way I could do it, even when I do this, is to have someone who will transcribe for me. Because to sit down and chronicle and, type it out, it wouldn't work for me. It would lose the spontaneity, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I like the stimulus of talking it out. That's the performer in this. I'm much better that way.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have, he's been hounding me, and believe me, my friends, everybody, and I said, this is a cocktail party, I'm having a good time, or this is a podcast, having a good time. No, Susan, get serious. You can do this another way. And I thought, okay, so, all right, I'm gonna think about it. You put it in my head again, and I'll tell my husband, he'll be thrilled.
Well, I mean, I think you got a great story there, and if you ever, decide to write a memoir, I think you should. That's just my thoughts. That's all.
Well, thank you. That's very kind, and I really do appreciate that, because it does give me food for thought, and I hope people would enjoy it, hearing it or reading it as much as I did doing it.
Mm-hmm. I was curious. Your father was Austrian. What was your mother?
My mother was of Russian descent.
Is there any Asian in your family?
No, but sometimes I am Asian. Yeah, no. As far as I know, I haven't taken that test, but as far as I know, I don't think there is.
Oh, because you always looked and sounded part Asian to me.
Oh my God, that's interesting. Well, I have these eyes, honey.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like in Shaolin Showdown, that was a very popular show. I loved that show. I was Wuya. But don't forget, also, in animation, a lot of the animation is done in Asia. And so there is sometimes a tilt to the eyes of the women. Mm-hmm. And so that could also have influenced you.
And also the fact that you're tiny, too, that gives you away.
I'm tiny. I am. When I was on my honeymoon, where was it? Japan or was it Hong Kong? I can't remember. It was either Hong Kong or Tokyo. And I let the TV run because I like, to see what's happening in other countries and their TV. And there was a rerun of something that I did. And there I was speaking rapid whatever, either Japanese or Chinese. And by golly, I could pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You sure can.
That's really, I'm dark with big eyes and, little tiny body. And there I was, chattering away.
Yeah, because earlier when I brought up Wagon Train, I think I saw you play an Indian squaw on there.
Oh, I have been Wild Wild West. Oh, Bobby Conrad just died. Oh.
Yeah.
It was so bad. He was a doll. I did Hawaiian Eye with him a million years ago. Mm-hmm. And then Wild Wild West. And I was an Indian on that. Oh, I played many Indians, many half-breeds. Gunsmoke, I was half-breed.
Yeah, Rita Moreno would get cast as a squaw. That would offend her, but she did it, though, because she needed the money.
Well, we all did. Like in combat, I was French. And it was so funny because there was one woman where there were two French girls. They didn't get the lead. I got the lead French role, and I wasn't French. And they said, why is she getting it? They said, well, she speaks French, and she speaks English with a French accent, but you can understand her. And that was the thing. They couldn't understand. The accent was too heavy for some. But I did Greek, I did French, I did Italian. Italian was on Man from U.N.C.L.E. I mean, you name it, I did it. That was the era of we could do anything. But I didn't think, that I understand being, PC. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, being an actor, you want to be able to do accents. And I thought that was part of what we do. It wasn't trying to offend anybody.
Yeah.
Or take away. I wasn't trying to take away roles I went to the High School of Performing Arts, and I was in theater, forever. And I was on stage. My father did. He was a character actor. He did many accents.
Mm-hmm.
He did Wild Wild West too. Whatever shows that, no, with Half Gun Will Travel. No, I did Half Gun and he did Half Gun. I was an Indian on Half Gun, and he was, what the heck was Daddy on that? He was with Passepartout. He was with Passepartout. He was the henchman to Passepartout. Maybe French or something like that. And, nobody blinked an eye because we were actors. That's what we did.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's a much different time.
Yeah, much different time. I'm glad I had the opportunity. Now I don't have to, now that is fine. And I certainly will. Now they're even doing it with animation, as you just saw what happened with The Simpsons.
Yeah, with Hank Azaria doing Apu.
Exactly. And I'm like, huh. I must say I have mixed feelings about it. I never, ever, my father always said to me, if you're going to speak another language, you better speak it properly. That would be offensive. So get your accent right. Get the pronunciation right if you're actually speaking the language, and that's very important. But I would never want to offend someone. But if I could do what they call an imitation of someone, and it's really good,
mm-hmm.
I would think, why not? That's my problem. You know what I'm saying? That's why I have a problem with it.
Yeah, it's a headache, but that's how it was back then, and now it's just totally different now.
Yeah, and Tommy, the thing is that you can't be a dinosaur in many ways, and if that's the way the world is changing, you don't want to stand out and be upset. You want to be able to move on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean you can't have an opinion about it. It does, it's not trying to go against the grain. And if, like what Hank is doing, is to, say, okay, I give in to this, then that's his choice, and that's very valid.
Mm-hmm.
And he's to be respected for that. But I just hope that it doesn't mean that everybody has to be locked into, then you're pigeonholing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very well said, Susan. So there's this game that I like to engage my guests in at the end of every interview, and how this works is, it's a silly slumber party questions, and I ask you the question, you answer it, and then you ask me the exact same question, and I answer it.
Oh, okay. It's like truth or dare.
Kind of. Putting you on the spot.
Or it's like the Actors Studio, what he used to do.
Exactly. Yes, that's how I've described it, because I don't really have a name for this yet. And I've been doing it for 1.5 years now.
Oh, you got to get a name for it. You got to get a name.
I'll come up with something.
Come with something, yeah. And then patent it. Then you can have a toy, and then I can do the voice of it.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
See, I already told something. I'm telling myself. Can't help it. You can't help it. Isn't that awful?
Yeah. Susan, are you ticklish?
Yes. Tommy, are you ticklish?
I am baby ticklish, yes.
Oh, I think that's so cute.
Yes.
I feel this is very intimate now, Tommy.
Yes, it is. What's your favorite part of the body?
Eyes.
Eyes.
What's your favorite part?
The belly button.
The belly button. Well, that goes with ticklish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my belly button is very ticklish.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to now remember this forever. You don't know who you're talking to. My husband can't stand it. He says, oh, my God, she remembers everything. Oh, Tommy, you had to do that. Okay. All righty now.
Yeah.
It's embedded. Oh, my God.
What color are your toenails painted?
Bright red.
Bright red. Nice.
What color are yours painted?
I need to paint mine. Last time that they were painted, they were purple with sparkles.
Oh, yum. My husband was in the beauty business, so I would get a lot of products, and I love all the crazy colors that they've come up with, that I never, ever would have. I wear it on my toes. I would wear it on my toes, not on my hands so much. I do some of the newer colors, but they've got the yellows. They've got, that whole array of palette colors that are just amazing. And I love sparkle. I'm a kitty. I love sparkle.
I love sparkles, too. What would you say is your best personality trait?
My best personality trait. What is a personality trait? I think my energy.
Yes, you do send off very positive, upbeat energy.
Yeah, I think that's it. What's yours, Thomas?
I think my sense of empathy.
Oh, good. It's very funny. We're, all right. I was thinking about that. I was thinking, you're a good listener, and that's very empathetic.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I've been told my whole life that I'm a good listener. My father is a very, very good listener, too. I get that from him all the way.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful trait.
Thank you. And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Stinky smell. Huh.
I mean, there's many of them.
That's really. Oh, makes me gag.
There's many.
It doesn't necessarily make me gag, but it makes it. I don't like it. It's burnt rubber.
Oh yeah, burnt rubber is pretty bad.
It takes a lot to make me gag.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm a mom. Hello. Of 2 boys.
Oh yeah, I've heard from many people who have kids that the smell of dirty diapers don't bother them.
No, it really does. After a while, it's life. It's what you get used to. Your kids, they do their BMs and they vomit and they do all sorts of things. Well, like kid, if you love animals, same thing.
Yeah.
You gotta clean up. Somebody's gotta clean it up. So you don't really go there. What's your gaggy one?
Okay, this is probably going to be embedded on your brain again.
Uh-oh.
Either farts or feet.
Oh, yeah, the feet thing, yeah, I can see that. Farts are like, everybody really doesn't like those, but a bad smelly feet thing can really be disgusting. Again, I'm a mother of boys, yeah.
I had one guest say to me, she said, "That's the name of your memoir, Farts and Feet." I have many different titles. I have many different titles for my memoir, but that's not one of them.
No, but store it away. You might use it for something.
Yeah, that's true.
You never know. You just never know. They're selling a lot of crazy books with crazy titles now, and so I got for Christmas. I got my husband. Now I have to be very careful, but I'm not going to say it. But and I said to him, this is something that is very uplifting, and I want you to treasure it and read it carefully. And the title of it is "The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F."
Yeah, that is a great title for a book.
Isn't that great?
Maybe,
and he looks at it like, "Oh my God, is that what it says?"
Maybe that could be
this is one of the best books I've ever read.
That could be the title of your book.
Thank you very much. Oh, you're good for a laugh, my love.
Oh, thank you so much, Susan. This has been a lot of fun, and I hope once everything stabilizes, you'll be back at work, And
Thank you.
do me a huge favor. Please take good care of yourself because we need you.
Thank you so much, Tommy. That means the world to me, and you as well, because we could not exist without you.
Oh.
So please, please, please have that embedded in your mind, okay?
Yes, it is permanently embedded in my mind. Thank you so much, Susan, and you have yourself a wonderful day.
You do too, darling. Take care and keep in touch. Take care, dear.
Yes, let's stay in touch. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Susan Silo. Ain't she a sweetheart? Oh, what a kind, humble lady with great show business stories. And I am so very lucky I got to talk to her today. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.